Henry David Thoreau once wrote, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." So, today's video is about Cars.
Yeah, good job!
I was 6 when Cars first released in theaters, and it immediately became one of my childhood hyperfixations. I have 3 copies of it on DVD. I started watching Disney Channel because they would air new episodes of Mater's Tall Tales, and there is a significant portion of my brain dedicated to storing miscellaneous trivia about this stupid franchise. This is Rip Kleczkonski. He is one of the 11 World Grand Prix racers from the second movie. His name is a reference to the fact that the writers originally planned on killing him off during the Tokyo race. Rip, Clutch, Gone, Sky. This also explains why he's the only racer to hail from a completely fictional European country called the Independent Republic of New Rwandia. I'm not here to passionately defend these movies. I certainly have a lot of nostalgia for this franchise, but even at their best, the films are average and inoffensive fun.
Oh boy, you gotta admit that was fun.
Honestly, the worst thing you can say about Cars 1 is that it tries to convince children that country music is actually good.
Love of country music? Ew.
I know a lot of people have a hard time suspending their disbelief for this franchise, and that's not invalid. Everyone has certain hang-ups with media, whether they'd like to admit it or not. Some people can't get invested in musicals, others don't like animation as a storytelling medium, and there's a sizable group of folks who just can't stand sitcoms with laugh tracks.
Are you kidding with this?
All of these hang-ups stem back to what makes your brain question reality. The more questions a piece of media makes you ask, the less likely you'll be able to enjoy it. I'm not immune to this phenomenon. If I let myself think about Zootopia for more than 2 seconds, I start ranting about all the illogical aspects of that universe. Conversely, I don't mind that there's a Catholic Pope equivalent in the Cars franchise. Does it make sense? Of course not. Is it a funny reference to the Pope-mobile? Yeah, I think so. The opening 5 minutes still fill me with a childlike excitement for what's to come. I get giddy when Lightning drives out of his trailer. The movie does lose some of this electric momentum along the way, but this was probably the filmmaker's intent. Cars' narrative is essentially derived from the phrase, living life in the fast lane, and the second act forces both Lightning McQueen and the audience to slow down and smell the roses. One of the things that really stood out to me during my rewatch is the scene where Sally and McQueen go for a drive. It's one of the best moments in the movie, but it's also unintentionally hilarious. We learn that Sally's backstory is quite similar to McQueen's. She was a young, up-and-coming hotshot who accidentally wound up in Radiator Springs and never left. She didn't stay because she loved the people, though. The majesty of the land is what compelled her.
I fell in love with this.
It's almost like the movie is admitting to you that its ensemble cast is underdeveloped and not worth sticking around for. That's not the end of my fascination with this scene, either. You could use it to argue that Cars is a pseudo-transcendentalist work of fiction. Transcendentalism was a literary and philosophical movement that emerged in the late 1820s and 30s as a response to the Age of Enlightenment and rationalism that dominated the 1700s. Transcendentalism focuses on the inherent goodness of people and nature, and how we should reconnect with the land and become self-reliant, free from societal corruption and trivialities. Conservationism was a major tenet of the philosophy, and it also included a general distrust of capitalism, westward expansion, and industrialization. In layman's terms, Alexa, play The Lakes by Taylor Swift.
Take me to the lakes where all the poets went to die. I don't belong, and my beloved, neither do you.
Cars is by no means a perfect analog for this philosophy, but it's a fun thought experiment. Lightning McQueen's life pre-Radiator Springs is glamorous and fast-paced, but it's also isolating and shallow. He's essentially disconnected from the world, which means that he's also disconnected from himself. By chance, he winds up stranded in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by people who are cut off from the rest of society because their town was erased from maps. All Lightning McQueen has ever wanted is to win the Piston Cup, the highest achievement in racing, and these people haven't even heard of it.
What's so important about this race of yours anyway?
It's here, in a place completely detached from the rest of the world, where Lightning finally makes connections with other people and falls in love with the land like Sally. His thematic foil is Doc, who intentionally ran away from society because he was treated like an expendable and replaceable commodity. Doc lost faith in the inherent goodness of people, but Lightning restores it when he intentionally loses the final race to show Strip Weathers empathy and respect.
You got a lot of stuff, kid.
Thanks, Doc.
Lightning will win other races. We just won't get to see them.
No, seriously. We never see Lightning McQueen win a meaningful race in this franchise.
He ties here, he comes in third here, he places second here. He wins this race, but the World Grand Prix is a total sham anyways. And I don't count anything that happens in Cars 3 because Cars 3 is stupid and I don't like it.
I'm actually more worried about what Tex is gonna say, considering he, bought Rusty's. Thanks, Tex.
I made that stolen fella a Texas-size offer.
Nothing's more heartwarming or triumphant than a billionaire expanding his ever-growing control over the free marketplace. The main reason I wanted to make this video was to figure out why I was so obsessed with these movies when I was a kid, and I think I have my answer. I didn't like Pixar before I saw Cars. Anytime I saw that lamp jump across the screen, I felt a pit of dread in my stomach. Monsters, Inc. and Toy Story scared me. Finding Nemo and A Bug's Life bored me, and I didn't understand large chunks of The Incredibles. Cars was the first Pixar film where my childlike whimsy intersected with thematic comprehension. 6-year-old me couldn't follow the adultery subplot in The Incredibles, or grasp the existential themes of Toy Story. Wait a second. Oh my god! Why can't I escape from this cancer of a man?
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
My point is, I understood what the filmmakers were saying with Cars. We need to connect with other people and our environments to live a fulfilling life. It's easy to forget how beautiful the world is. I know I certainly take it for granted.
Transcendentalists were pretentious asshats, but their philosophy does have merits.
The town got bypassed just to save 10 minutes of driving.
They say I'm old-fashioned and live in the past, but sometimes I think progress progresses too fast.
Construction is the world's most effective eraser. A new interstate made Radiator Springs irrelevant. We like to pretend that memories last a lifetime, when in actuality, human beings are the world's most efficient forgetting machines.
You never see it coming when the world caves in on you.
Our culture is fast-paced. Moments blur together and lose significance as we hurtle towards makeshift signifiers of success and happiness. Everyone's chasing after their own version of the Dynaco sponsorship. We all want to win the big race, but achievements don't hold weight if you haven't lived a meaningful life whilst working towards your goals.
At the end of the day, a trophy is just an empty cup.
But there's an inherent divinity in nature, one that can help us refocus and remember how fleeting this all is.
My high school geography teacher once said, "It's better to shoot for the stars and have your feet in the trees than shoot for the trees and have your feet in the dust." That was the only smart thing the man ever said, because I sure as hell did not learn anything about geography in his class.
I don't know how to read this. How will I ever be able to find the independent Republic of New Rear-Endia? Pixar is a unique animation studio because their first 6 films all shot for the stars and landed there. Cars, on the other hand, sits comfortably in the trees, and that's triumphant in its own right. Trees are valuable in more ways than one, and so is Disney Pixar's Cars.
I speak for the trees, and I'll yell and I'll shout for the fine things on earth that are on their way out.
To further quote Thoreau, I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation, unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. To live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life. To cut a broad swath and shave close. To drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms.
This guy was the first addition to my collection. You can tell because his paint is starting to chip a bit. I got him at a neighborhood Walmart. My mom thought it was a weird toy for me to want. She probably thought I would never play with him. Joke's on you, Mom. Sarge was initially hard to find. There was a massive recall on his toy because there was a quote-unquote unacceptable amount of lead in the paint. Why would they make a toy based off of this scene? And why do I own it? This guy isn't even a die-cast. I think he was a Kellogg's cereal toy. Sterling is the only toy I own from Cars 3. I know he's like the bad guy and all, but he's voiced by Nathan Fillion, so I had to have him. This guy was a Kmart exclusive. The die-casts they sold there came with rubber tires. God, I forgot about Kmart. This mustache is really itchy.